Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman Wargamer. I'm continuing to learn Atlantic Chase, a game designed by Jeremy White and published by GMT Games, by just going through the tutorials. It seems to be going smoothly enough, but if there are any sort of mistakes, let me know so I can put them in the description of the video. This will help other people as well. Right, it's tutorial number 7. So, tutorial 7, rescue. Got a few pages to read. So, let's get on with that. Tutorial 7, rescue, October 1939. Operating off the Horns Reef, the British submarine Spearfish suffers mechanical problems and can no longer dive. Admiral Forbes dispatches the 2nd Cruiser Squadron to escort it back to Rosyth, Naval, covered by battle cruisers. So for this tutorial, the new action we are learning is the engage action. And this action would allow the active player to initiate a battle against the ships of one enemy task force. But at the moment, we're still not doing any battles. The other thing this tutorial teaches us is coordination, where more than one task force can be involved for an engage action or a naval search, and hopefully we'll see that occur. So the setup for this tutorial, you can see we're once again using the smaller North Sea inset map, and here are the 2 British task forces. This one here is the Cruiser Squadron that's going to try and rescue the submarine that's got into difficulties, and that task force is made up of 3 heavy cruisers and a light cruiser. The heavy cruisers are all fast and consists of the Sheffield, the Southampton and the Glasgow, and the light cruiser is the Aurora, and up here we have another task force at Scapa Flow of 2 battle cruisers, the Repulse and the Hood. For the Germans, there's a task force here at Kiel, which consists of the Gneisenau, the battle cruiser, and the Köln. Get that, there we go. And because of information from Bletchley Park, that task force has an intel marker on it. So we are the British, the weather is bad, and we have the initiative, and our goal is to try and bring the submarine home to Naval here. The Germans are going to try and stop us, and there's a single sort of little action table here that we'll use when they have the initiative. There is a special rule for this submarine. Submarines can perform something called recon or stealth attack, which we haven't covered yet, but for this tutorial they can't do that, but they can trigger intel if a German trajectory enters its hex. Can't move. So to get it back to Naval, the cruiser squadron's going to have to go up to the submarine and do a reorganize action to bring it into the task force, and then they'll try and steam back to Naval. The submarine, though, can provide coordination if something occurs in this area. So let's get going. So just to remind you quickly of the wind conditions, this tutorial concludes when one side conducts an engage action which results in a battle result. Can't play the battle, of course, yet. Or if we get our cruiser squadron over to the submarine, reorganize and get that as part of the task force, and then make our way back and successfully complete at Naval. Or the Germans win if they get their task force station into the same hex as the submarine before it's been reorganized into the task force. We are going first. The weather is bad, So we're going to start with a trajectory action over here. Let's get our cruisers over, if we can, to the submarine we're trying to rescue. Now we could take a chance, although there's nothing in it really. This German airfield can't do anything because it's bad weather, but we'll play safe and come round it. Doesn't add to the length of the trajectory. There we are. Now we could pass and time lapse, but I think I'm going to bring this task force down just to sort of maybe harass and annoy that task force. Here we go. Now I could be wrong, and as I always say, you will play this completely different. I won't go into this hex because that will give us an intel marker because of the port and the airfield there. Let's see what the Germans do. So that's our trajectory actions done. I'm now going to pass and time lapse with this. It's bad weather though, so we've got to throw a die to see how many segments we take off. Let's hope for a nice high number. Oh, 6. Jammy, but I'm having it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got our station. Next time, we can reorganize that and get this submarine onto our task force. But it is now the Germans. They're thrown to see if the weather changes. No, it does not. What are they up to? They're throwing on this small action table on this row here. 5, I've got to allow that one, haven't I? 5. Oh, mind you, it's a pass action, I think. Yes, the Germans perform a pass action. So they would throw the die. It doesn't really matter, but we'll do it for completeness sake. 4, that comes off. They turn back into a station and get rid of their intel marker, which is handy for them. Okay, it's our go. That was quick. So, weather. No, stays bad. Well, we're going to reorganize. I don't think there's going to be much opportunity to do a coordination. You know, we could have tried to engage the German station and have the two task forces coordinating. We would have got some dice modifiers. But because of that pass action, I'm going to try and get this submarine back. But as I say, you'll do this differently. So we're doing a reorganize. So we're going to combine. Can't normally do that with these submarines, as I mentioned earlier, but for this scenario, that's what they're letting us do. So at least that's out the way now, because this could have snuck in, turned back into a station and won the game because the submarine wasn't part of the task force yet. So that's that. We will now do a trajectory and try and get back home. Unfortunately, Forbes wants us to go up here. Back to the Firth of Forth methyl. Whoops. And we can try and complete. Remember, 6 segments or less. There's 6 there. One of them is in the port. We don't have any intel markers on us. But the Germans can try and seize initiative. They haven't got anything on their tally. And they haven't got any evasive maneuver markers. So they need a 9 or more. Oh no, 9! Oh, I thought it was going to be a quick one here, but no. Where are we? Fail. Designated task force performs time lapse. So, Bad weather, we've got to throw a die, and then the initiative goes back to the Germans. No! 2 only. I thought it was game over then. So the Germans are rolling for the weather, and it goes back to good. So what are they doing on this action table? 3 on the good. It is a T, which is trajectory. And step 1, the German task force performs a trajectory action. Add new trajectory segments to form the most direct route while avoiding British air bases. The end of the trajectory must be in the hex with the spearfish. So he's going to go after this squadron. If the spearfish is in a British task force, which it is, the trajectory's new end must be the nearest hex with the British task force segment or its station. Okay, so they're trundling off. Here. I can't do an engage because we are not a station, but it does say here, the Germans do the following depending on the state of the spearfish. It's in a task force that is currently a trajectory, so they're going to do a naval search. See if they can try and get this down to a station. Naval search. No interrupts. So here we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This can't coordinate because it's not in the same hex. But can they launch their air support? How many are there away? 1, 2. They had to get a +1. Yeah, they'll do that then. So they're launching. Yeah, 1, 2 away. 2 hexes away. They get a +1. They're the active player. So +1. So we don't forget. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 segments. Right, down to the naval search table. So we're rolling on this one here. And they've got a +1. Thrown a 7. Plus the 1. 8. It's a contact. And if you remember, that is shadow. So we have to remove all but 3 of the target's trajectory segments. But the segment in the target space may not be removed. So let's get back up there and have a look at that. So that's the one that gets removed. We can't complete now. If we only had 3 or fewer segments, that would have stayed as it was and we would have earned an evasive manoeuvres marker. But no, they've got us. So they are going to time lapse. And we now try and seize the initiative. So turn that over. 9 or more. 6, no. They carry on with their turn. That we can get rid of. We don't do the weather because initiative hasn't actually changed hands. So what are they doing this time? 2. Trajectory. So the German task force performs a trajectory action. Or does it? No, it says if already in the spearfish's hex, skip to step 2. So the spearfish is currently in a task force. That's a trajectory. So they're going to do another naval search. That goes up by 1 because we didn't get the initiative. So here we go again. They're going to get a better chance now. No interrupts. And we have a trajectory total of 3. So back to the naval search table. So it's not looking good for the Brits. I forgot we can do that. So we'll pop that on. That will give them a +1. I think the last result on here was a contact. And I forgot to add that. So I'll put one on there now. I thought it was this one. If I'm wrong, I'll change it, but it doesn't look good anyway, look. If they throw over a 4, we're a station. So we've got a +1 onto it. Yeah, they've got a 5, look. 5 + 1 is 6, of course. Contact, which we've already got, and they're a station. So let's go back and sort that out. So there we are. There's the contact marker. If I forgot to add it, it's there now. They're not cumulative. You don't pile them up. But this now becomes a station. That goes back. That comes off. And we now try and seize initiative. But we do have a +1. 9 or more with a +1. Here we go. 7 + 1. 8, not enough. They keep the initiative. Right. Let's see what they do now. They don't throw for the weather because they have kept the initiative. What action are they doing? Oh. 3. It's that trajectory result again, but it says if you're already in the spearfish's hex, skip to step 2, and the state of the spearfish is in a task force and is currently a station. So they're going to do an engage action. Here we go. So if we get a battle result, we've lost, or if they get a battle result. So the active task force is a station or trajectory, yes. And the target task force, us, is a station in the same hex. No interrupt. They can launch. And they're going to engage us. And they, of course, are the active task force. I've been told it's a good habit to get into this because I think I mentioned it before. As it gets more complex, you need to know who's doing what. If there was a segment from that task force in this hex, they could coordinate and get a negative modifier. But it doesn't look good. We could launch from here, but we are the target, and that's 1, 2 away. And as you see here, target player, 2 hexes away, we don't get anything. So there's no point in doing air support. Right, so what do they get? This air support is 1, 2 away. So that's a +1. We've got a contact marker on us, and we are fast, so that's another +2. No coordination, which is a shame, because I'd like to have shown you that. So, down to the engage table. Doesn't look good because the trajectory total is 0 because they're both stations. So, they're on here with a +3. 6. +3 is 9. Battle. That's it. The Brits are defeated. The cruiser squadron with the submarine in tow were engaged by the Naval and Colne, and as a result we have lost. All there is left to do is the outcomes, and the episode ended because an engage action results in a battle. If the battle involves only British cruisers, yeah it did, and no British battle cruisers, the Gneisenau now severely damages one of the cruisers and possibly another before they break off. If the submarine was in the task force, yes it was, roll a die. If even, the Spearfish escapes. If odd, it scuttles and its crew is scooped up by the Colne after the cruisers are chased off by the Gneisenau. Oh, right, hold on. Oh, it scuttles and we're taken prisoner. Oh dear. So there we are. Great fun, but not very successful for the Brits. Didn't get a chance to show you coordination, so I thought I would just put down a little example and go through it to see if I've got it right. And in this example, we've got 2 British task forces and 2 German task forces, and the German player is going to do a naval search on this trajectory here. So the station is the active task force, searching here. And they're going to have this trajectory as a coordinating task force. So you can see why it's quite important to use these little counters. It can get a bit confusing. Once the German player has finished with his coordinations, the British player can do the same thing. Well, they've got another task force here, so they're going to be using that as a coordinating task force. So for a naval search, we need the trajectory total. When you are summing up the trajectory totals, you use the longest trajectories that are involved in this action. So even though this is the active task force with a sort of trajectory length of 0 because it's a station, this is a coordinating task force, so we take that total as it's the larger one. And added on to that is the longest trajectory length of the British. We've got 2 here, but this is the longest one, so that is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8. But now the British subtract their coordinating task force length. So 8 minus 2 is 6. So on the naval search, we would look on the 6 column, throw the dice, and depending on the weather, work out the die roll modifiers. Hope I've got that right. You'll let me know if I haven't, but that's coordination. Well, I think we'll leave the video there. Another action and procedure, hopefully learnt, on our way to playing the game solo. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, you found it interesting. If you did, and you haven't done so already, I know I keep saying this, but it really does help if you would consider subscribing to the channel. Also, a great help is pushing the like button of the video, a thumbs up, and if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, push the bell. As always, leave a comment, especially if I've made a bit of a boo-boo somewhere. It's always good to know, so I can make a note of that in the description. And thanks as always to my subscribers. Thank you very much indeed. One last thing, if you want to support the channel a little bit further, well now you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and those coffees go towards new content that the channel can upload. A link will be in the description if you wish to check that out, and thank you. So, until next time, when we'll see what Atlantic Chase, designed by Jeremy White and published by GMT Games, has in store for us. So until then, as always, you take care, and goodbye.